Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, it has been nothing but negativity throughout the YouTube sphere, but thankfully I have some really amazing news for you guys. It's still only a glimpse of light in this really dark times that we live in, but what an incredibly bright light it is. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about brand new gaming hardwares and how they're incredibly freaking expensive to get in current year, but I am sensing that it's gonna improve as time goes on, to the point where we're finally gonna reach a more stable and normal market in the future. I've already talked about this issue in another video, but to sum it up, the gaming hardware market has been pretty freaking awful as of late. The consoles are out of stock, expensive, and got hoarded by scalpers. The GPU prices have spiked, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to buy a laptop instead of building my own PC. The price of building my own PC and buying a laptop at the time are the same, and while the PC can outperform the laptop easily wins in terms of portability, which is important because I go to work and I only game occasionally these days. I legitimately feel bad for people who are asking me tech tips on my Twitter DMs or my emails, and I have to inform them that the PC hardware market is really bad and they're not going to end up with a PC that they want, or at least in a fair price. And not even pre-builds are safe for being nerfed by scalper prices. I've seen people selling PCs coupled with a decent CPU, just like the Intel Core i5-10400F. That's a 6-core 12-thread CPU, really good value for the money, which is rare for me to say towards Intel. However, the seller paired it with an NVIDIA GT730. A GT730! This is a card from 2014. We're already in the years of RTX 3000s, and people are so desperate for performance, they're selling an incredibly outdated graphics card just as a placeholder for the future. We're so desperate for GPUs that MSI is re-releasing the GT730. No, I'm not kidding, they actually did. I mean, I guess if you just want to play emulators, that's perfectly adequate, but you can still play emulators even on just an Intel HD graphics. I played Tekken 6 on a PSP emulator on a $300 PC with a Core i5-3470 that is supposed to be used as a cashier PC for a mini market that I worked in. I played Counter-Strike Condition Zero on that machine. Still really freaking fun games to play in my opinion. So while it is possible for you to play PC games or emulators with this PC, and it is an okay placeholder before you can finally afford a good GPU, it's not exactly the next-gen experience that we're hoping for. I mean, you might remember me talking about how I prefer going back to old games rather than going to the next-gen and playing next-gen games. And yes, I've been talking about newer titles as of late, like Yakuza 7 and Resident Evil Village, check out the videos down below, but I have also been playing older titles on older consoles, or even older titles on newer consoles, because there are so many remakes and remasters and ports as of late. And wow, what an amazing decision that I made. I can buy like 9 or 10 Nintendo Wiis for a PS5 in here, and I would have a much better experience with it. So yeah, even if the current gen gaming market is about as easy to enter as a freaking Oscar nomination, it's about as good a time as any for a lot of you people to experience the last few generation of games. It's not just to wait until you get enough money to purchase the latest and greatest hardwares, it also serves as a reminder and a way to put things into perspective of how not so amazing the next gen games are, or at least gameplay wise. I can certainly vouch for the weebs that the PlayStation is still gonna be a censorious mess, and the only way for it to not be is for the games to come to PC, so the developers don't have any sorts of arbitrary moral restrictions, and even then, we can mod it to our heart's content. But I'm getting off topic. To put it simply, if you are interested in getting to the next generation of games by buying the latest and greatest gaming hardwares, unfortunately you can't, because their prices have been garbage as of late, so you're better off staying with the current hardware that you have and stick to it until you get yourself a newer hardware by visiting or revisiting older games that you have or haven't played. This is why I don't really see that much of a problem with Sony having their next-gen games like the new God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn or Gran Turismo 7 to be cross-gen. Heck, if they're not making it cross-gen, they are really not reading the room in the current situation that we're living in. Not a lot of people own a PS5, and it's expensive to own a PS5. That being said, it does make their statement of how they quote-unquote believe in generations to be incredibly poorly aged. If you really want to make PS5 exclusive, Sony, make sure that people can actually buy your consoles first. But with all of that being said, fortunately there is a light at the end of this tunnel. As I said before, there's a lot of demand for silicon, and it's not just happening for gaming hardwares, it's also happening for other hardwares that require chips and processors. Not to mention, there are loads of demands of GPUs from the cryptocurrency miners, because that's one of the ways for them to print as much free money as they can. And while the crypto miners aren't really a significant factor to the GPU shortage, or at least according to the NVIDIA CFO, they're not helping the situation at all. They're still snatching loads and loads of GPUs from gamers so that they can easily print money from themselves. But then, a crash happened, and it was glorious. Bitcoin, Ethereum, even freaking Dogecoin all dropped and will continue to drop in value. There are many suspects that cause this phenomenon. Tesla, for example, decides that they're not going to accept cryptocurrency as payment, which is a complete U-turn from their previous decision. But the biggest suspect of this phenomenon came from one of the primary contributors of the cryptocurrency market, China. No, really, China. For once, China has done something really freaking base. China essentially cracked down on all forms of cryptocurrency mining and trading, except with their own digital currency, the yuan, because, of course, this leads into a lot of Chinese miners quitting, or at least some will quit. Some will probably just relocate to another country, and some experts even say that it probably won't cause a long-term impact. But even so, making their activities much harder and inconvenient to do is still a blessing. Oh, by the way, to put this in perspective, China has accounted for 75% of the world's mining hash rate for Bitcoin. It's not just the fact that Bitcoin is hoarding gigawatts and even terawatts of electricity, it's also the fact that a lot of these mining activities are powered with coal. China itself is powered mainly by coal, which leads to a lot of mining activities to be powered by, you guessed it, coal. So China cracking down on this will not only save the environment, but also reduce the demands of GPUs for mining to a significant degree. With that being said, Taiwan is still a country with totalitarian hacks.
Don't trust China. China is asshole.
I've already explained NFTs before. If you don't know what it is, it's basically digital goods with a signature on them from the official creators. Kind of like how baseball with a famous player signature is worth more in the market than a plain baseball. Except imagine if the baseball is a digital item, like a video for example. Remember Charlie Bit My Finger? Well, they've grown up now. That's Harry on the left and Charlie on the right, with their dad Howard in the middle. That viral video will get turned into an NFT, sold for £500,000, and will be removed from YouTube if they got sold. The reason is, they want to go to a university and they want to pay the bills. I can respect that. What I can't respect as much is selling the video as NFT and removing it from YouTube when it's sold out. And that is assuming that there are people who are willing to pay for it. And there are, or there used to be, people are willing to pay for a Nyan Cat gift for more than $500,000 with Ethereum. No, I'm not kidding. That's exactly how much they paid for it. And with the crash of other cryptocurrencies, surely you would expect the NFT crypto market to crash as well, right? Actually, yes. It crashed as well. About $170 million in NFTs were transacted in the 7 days surrounding the market stop, which is a near 90% collapse from the previous one. That's still a lot of money, granted, but the fact that it spiked down that much is quite telling on the interest towards NFT market these days. And with that, the GPU market itself in some areas are slowly improving as well. As Hardware Unboxed reported in their video, their prices are decreasing from across the board on eBay. From the RTX 3000 series GPUs, AMD RX 6000 series GPUs, and even their older generation cards as well. Granted, the price inflation is still freaking insane. Some GPUs are straight up sold for 200% more than the MSRP, but due to the cryptocurrency crash, the GPU mining profitability rate is also decreased, which means that you're not gonna get as much profit from mining as you were back then, which means that GPUs are getting less and less useful for mining and more useful for gaming. There really should be some form of regulation in regards to who can actually mine cryptocurrencies and how much they can mine cryptocurrencies, because pretty much everyone can get into the crypto mining game, which sounds like a great capitalistic utopia, but it will only greatly benefit those who are rich enough to afford them. In this case, we the gamers who only need to use one GPU for the PC at most and one GPU for every console are being oppressed by the rich crypto miners and scalpers who are capable of buying all of these GPUs, squeezing the GPU market and shorting out all the silicon stocks as much as it can until there's nothing left and everyone desperately needs it. This entire ordeal is actually a good event to highlight the consequences of a laissez-faire market. With the lack of government intervention, we're seeing a lot of scarcity happening, and we're the ones suffering from it. Now the government comes in and say, no, you're not allowed to hoard these GPUs by yourself and get all profits from it. Give it to the gamers who genuinely need them. Or in China's case, give it to the government government or you'll get executed. And here we are. The crypto is crashing, Chinese miners are quitting, more power is finally being restored after these crypto miners are hoarding them. The environment is much better due to us having to generate less power from coal. And with them quitting the market, the GPUs that they have are probably gonna populate the used market, especially when cryptocurrency drops so much in value to the point where it's totally worthless spending the time mining them with GPUs. I probably won't recommend buying them due to them being used 24/7, but at least they're better than nothing. As much as I don't trust the government, especially the Chinese government, I hope that there are more regulations applied to this market, in the same way that there are more regulations applied to the predatory microtransactions market that is still festering the gaming market even to this day. At the very least, prevent miners from buying these things at high prices so that we don't have cases of whiny and boomer parents complaining to the freaking convenience store that it's the cashier's fault that they didn't parent their child properly. By the way, that situation is resolved, and the video has gone so viral that the convenience store clerks decide to take precautions to make sure that they are protected from more boomer parents. And that's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario with gaming addiction, your house get burned down. No, really, that happened. I talk about that in another video. But at least the predatory gaming market deals with things that are easily reproducible, intangible goods like in-game currencies and items that are about as easy to make as pressing Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V in the developer side. So even if they're the worst in terms of manipulating the consumers, they are, the goods are easily reproducible. That is, until companies like Nintendo come in and decide to create artificial scarcity of digital goods by removing the game entirely from the store, so the only way you could have gotten the game is to buy it from the freaking scalper market or learn a thing or two about how to use emulators. But even so, at least digital goods are easily reproducible. GPUs are not that easy to make. Silicons are in high demand for not just GPUs but also other utilities that require some form of processing. Even cars require some form of processing. With the scalpers and miners hoarding all these GPUs and consoles and silicons for themselves, it will force silicon manufacturers to pump up more silicons to meet up with the rising demands in a current year climate where people are required to stay at their homes and work from there. And with the rise of the demands and the fall of the supplies, we get goods that are really expensive. Thankfully, with the crackdown on the cryptocurrency market in a country that mines the most, hogs powers the most, and produce hardwares the most, we are seeing an improvement. We're already seeing the price numbers and how they're starting to get lower. We're seeing a much better environment in general due to generating less electricity. This is an amazing day, and I hope that this trend can continue all the way until all the prices are normal and all the gamers can finally enter the current gen experience without having to throw as much money to the bin. That's all for the video today. If you like it, you can go ahead and click the like button and subscribe for more. If you wish, you can donate to this channel through many means, links down below, and thanks for watching.